Hi cuties, my name is Hanako Kozumi and this is the channel Nerdy Nekoma. Everything here is about Haikyuu chat stories and fanfic. Thanks for joining us today. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. And with that, welcome to today's video, or in other words, the second part of Stay Strong. Again, this will be on the hard comfort side, and I promise a lot of comfort, but also a bit of hurt. And I cried while making this, so be warned. However, I hope you like it, I hope you enjoy it, and now let's go. Have you ever had struggles finding good Haikyuu merch or anime merch in general? Because I for sure did. It can be hard, but this shop offers amazing merch. Like, I'm literally obsessed with the Haikyuu merch. They have the cutest hoodies ever. Now, if you want to get 10% off, click the link in the description. They offer me a collaboration, which is literally amazing, and you support my channel this way. So, win-win. Let's go. By the time he arrived home, his headache became close to unbearable. His throat hurt and his sense of balance had significantly worsened over the past minutes. He had to lean against the wall while taking his shoes off in order not to fall. In a fruitless attempt of sneaking in unnoticed, he tried to step lightly, but to no avail. It was hard enough to focus on the path he laid out in his head. In other words, the fastest way to the bed. The glimmer of hope he might make it there without drawing any attention was crushed by the sound of a door creaking open to his left. Amber eyes observed him carefully from where Kenma leaned against the doorframe. They met his yellow ones with concern. Ko? What are you doing home? Bokuto pressed his lips together, but it did little to nothing to hide his struggles. Kenma closed the distance between them and reached for his hand. Instead of simply accepting it, Bokuto pulled him into a tight hug, putting maybe a little bit too much of his weight on the smaller. Kenma staggered a bit, but stabilized them and gently wrapped his arms around the ace's neck. Did something happen? Did you lose a training match or something? No. His voice sounded raspy, and he could feel Kenma tense a bit in his arms. You're sick. He said nothing. Bokuto wished to deny it, but Kenma was too clever to fall for any lies or attempts to hide it, not to mention that his brain slowly but surely felt more and more like mush. He couldn't think straight. Suddenly, his legs gave out on him, and he fell. It took Kenma by surprise. Unable to support the taller completely, they both fell to the ground. I'm sorry. Kenma's breath hitched, but a small chuckle bubbled up in his chest as he found himself on the floor. Don't worry, but you'll have to give it your all one more time. I can't carry you to the bed. You're not mad at me. Kenma furrowed his brows and climbed back to his feet. No. You can tell me what gave you that stupid idea when you were in bed, though. They somehow made it to the bedroom, and even though Kenma originally planned to make Bokuto tea and come up with some kind of plan of what to do next, he found himself perfectly content just laying huddled up in the bed next to the ace. I'm sorry. Kenma groaned. You can't just apologize without telling me what for. For worrying you. I being sick? He nodded. Ko, that's hardly your fault. The other said nothing, and Kemma didn't know what to say or do next. He stared at him helplessly and just settled for snuggling closer to his side. They could figure this out when the others came home. Akashi and Kuro came home together as they did when their schedules allowed it. Kenma, we're home! His voice echoed through the hallway, even though he didn't expect a reply. Speaking from experience, the only reply he would get to this was when he forgot that Kenma was streaming, and that wasn't the case. Hopefully. He shuddered a little at the memory and sighed in relief at the expected silence. You look like you expected a ghost to hunt this place. Nah, I'm just glad that Kenma isn't streaming right now. Akashi chuckled. Let's prepare dinner before Bokuto comes home. Kuro nodded thoughtfully. Hopefully, he doesn't try to make up for being late by practicing longer than usual. Akashi hummed in agreement. How can we be sure that we aren't imagining things? What do you mean? This morning, he seemed off a bit, but what if I just think that because of that? The fanfic. There's nothing wrong with checking up on him. I know, but we shouldn't. I mean, we can't worry about him all the time. You're right, and we won't. This will pass, and the longer we see that he's just fine, the better it will get. Okay. Kuro pressed a tender kiss to his forehead and lifted his chin to look him in the eyes. We got this. As long as we are there for each other, there's nothing that could stop us. Akashi relaxed in his arms as their lips touched in a loving kiss. He was right. With them by his side, time and possibilities seemed endless. Kuro? Kenma! The taller put the cooking utensils aside in favor of wrapping his arms around Kenma, lifting him slightly from the ground. Kuro. Kenma yelped and looked at him surprised. This was something you would expect from Bokuto, but not Kuro, though that wasn't entirely true. They both had a tendency for stupid ideas and just randomly picking him up into their arms, just that Kuro was usually a bit more subtle about it. Can't I just be happy to see you? Just please not this loud. I thought I was still asleep. Kuro froze. Akashi did too, before he slowly turned off the stove and focused his whole attention on Kenma, who was still trapped in Kuro's arms and blushing upon suddenly becoming the center of attention. Kotaro. What is he doing home already? They're still training for almost an hour. He got sent home. He's sick. Kuro gulped. They were right after all. Kenma could see him getting frantic. An all too familiar panic rose in his chest and reflected in his eyes. I'll check on him. Why didn't he say something earlier? Tetsu. A small hand closed around his wrist. Their eyes locked, amber and hazel. Please, he already feels guilty enough. Guilty? Why would he feel guilty? Akashi joined them, his hands twisted in the fabric of his hoodie as he started to subconsciously pull on it. I don't know. The other nodded slowly, making a mental list of possibilities, though he had already a pretty good idea what the problem could be. His eyes fell on Koro, who was held in place by Kimmo's touch. It was the only thing keeping him grounded. Akashi could see the tips of his fingers shaking. He blinked rapidly and his eyes were raw with emotion. Akashi might have been the most affected upon reading the fanfic, but it was Kuro who struggled the most with the idea of losing them in such a manner. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to care for them, that he had no influence on the decisions of fate. His biggest struggle was how much he was willing to give in order for them to be happy, and his biggest fear was that it wouldn't be enough. Kenma? The vigilant eyes found his. Take care of Tetsu. I will check on Ko. What? But... Tetsu, you need to calm down. He gently took his wrist and lifted his hand, showing him the trembling he seemed unaware of before holding it tightly and placing a soft kiss on his fingertips. It's okay. It will be okay. While Akashi's grip loosened, Kenma's tightened, and he led them towards the couch. Ko? He pushed the bedroom door open slowly. The lingering silence was unnerving, yet as soon as he adjusted, there was the sound of calm and steady breathing. It was almost soothing. He walked over to the side of the bed Bokuto lay on and kneeled down by his head. Hey, Ko? Gentle fingers brushed through the black and white hair and pushed the strands that had fallen in his face behind his ear. He traced the features of Bokuto's face and lingered at his forehead, which felt unusually warm. A fever. He took a deep breath, but next to the worry that spiked in his chest, he also felt relief. In the story, Bokuto had always been cold. It was silly to even think that way, and he knew it. Everything was more likely than FFI, but the thought simply haunted his mind, enough to release a relieved sigh at the clear difference between fiction and reality. Kashi? Bokuto opened his eyes and blinked a couple of times before he looked at him tiredly. Akashi smiled warmly at the ace. It's been a while since you called me that. He looked at him confused and clearly disoriented. How are you feeling? I'm fine. He furrowed his brows. Ko, I think I know what you're trying to do, but it's not working. And even if it was, it's more important that you are honest with us. He looked at him with these big yellow eyes, glassy and close to spilling the tears they were holding. But I don't... Focus on getting better first. We are fine. He looked down at the sheets as the first tear fell. I don't want to be the reason for your pain. Akashi bit his lip in concentration. He wanted to say, "You are not," but he knew what he meant and that it would be a lie. I know, but that's just what it's like when you love someone. Their pain hurts you. Their tears feel like your own, and you hate to see them sad, no matter what the reason is. Even if it's a stupid argument, every word that hurts them feels like it was aimed at you. And the prospect of losing them quickly becomes scarier than losing your own life, because if you'd have to be the one to live, you would need to learn to live without them. With all the memories that are suddenly not happy anymore, but bittersweet. The images that once made you happy start to hurt. They sat in silence for a moment. But that's just the price we have to pay to love. It's ironic and almost cruel, but the more it hurts, the more it was worth it. The more intense was the time you spent with them, and the stronger was the love you shared. We are hurting, not because you are the reason for our pain, but because you are the reason for our happiness. He looked at him, his eyes clouded by a thin veil of tears. Bokuto, Karado, Ko, my love, my happiness. You are so much more than that. I love you. I will forever, even if our ways separate at some point, and I swear that I'll do everything in my power to postpone that day for as long as I can. Keiji. His voice broke. He wanted to say more, to soothe the tears falling from the ace's eyes, but from one second to the other, he found himself incapable of speaking. Bokuto pulled him into his arms and held him, just held him. The heat radiating from his body was quickly becoming unbearable, but Akashi didn't find it within himself to care. I won't leave. Never. Of course that was a lie, but did it matter? Akashi's hands grabbed his shirt, pulled him even closer, and held on tightly. Promise me. I promise. It took a moment before Akashi found the strength to get up and step away. The other whined at the lack of contact. Don't worry, I'll send you someone who needs reassurance just as much. He leaned down and kissed his forehead, noticing yet again that he was burning up. Meanwhile, I'll get you some food and medicine. Just talk to us, okay? Tell us how you are feeling. He nodded, his eyelids heavy again. Please tell Kuro to hurry. I don't think I have to. He gave him one last smile before leaving to get the others. Upon arriving downstairs, he found them, Kenma curled up on Kuro's lap, who held him tightly, rubbing his back in soothing circles and hiding his face in the blonde hair. If he didn't know them so well, he would probably assume that Kuro was comforting Kenma and not the other way around. However, this was exactly what Kuro did most of the time when he needed comfort. It was strongly connected to the kind of fears haunting his dreams compared to others. When alone, Kenma got scared because he lost orientation and didn't know what to do, while Kuro was scared for Kenma. The one yearned for the feeling of safety, while the other desperately needed to know that he was safe. Kuro's distress was a result of his worry about them, soothing said worry by holding them close and making sure they are okay. And Kenma offered just that. He supported him in the way that he knew Kuro needed right now. It was also the smaller who noticed Akashi standing in the doorframe while Kuro still seemed to stare at nothing, an invisible picture created by his mind and never to be seen by anyone but him. Kenma gently tugged at Kuro's shirt to get him out of his haze. He blinked a couple of times as his vision cleared and his eyes focused on Akashi. "What is it? Is he okay?" "Yes, he is. He has a slight fever, probably just a cold, at worst the flu." Kuro stiffened but nodded. "Come on, go. I know you want to see him. Just take it slow." He did. Kuro even managed to not jump up immediately and rush to him. Yet, Akashi wasn't sure if that was a good or bad sign. Thank you all for watching to the end. I hope you liked it. With this part is finished. It was a one-shot, but it was getting so long, that's why it's 2 parts. You get it. So yeah, leave a comment with what you want to see next on this channel, though I do have a few ideas and plans for BokuAkaKuroKen. Let's just say we're diving into the angst department again. God, I really should give them some comfort. I'm sorry. But now, if you liked it, please consider leaving a like because it really helps my channel grow. And if you don't want to miss out on anything in the future, consider subscribing. And I hope you have a wonderful and amazing day.